So thank you all for joining us this evening. Today's workshop is How Dramatic is Your Classroom for Dramatic Play. I am Nancy Duran, and we'll be presenting with Ricky. I want to go to the next slide.
Yes.
So introductions, I'll go ahead and start about my and share who I am. I am Nancy Duran. I am a educator. I work at the East LA College Child Development Center. I am also a Child Development Center adjunct instructor at the East LA College. I've been in the early childhood field for about 17 years, and being in the classroom setting and being as well as an instructor, so it's important to put into practice what we lecture, curriculum, theory, right, in our classroom setting. And as we've been, part of the field in early childhood, so this topic, dramatic play, is very important to highlight. So welcome all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rokia Rahman, and I am also an associate professor, a faculty member here at ILAC Child Development Department. Our department basically Child, Family, and Education Studies, and our discipline is Child Development. And I used to work with young children and their family more than 15 years, and I was a teacher. Assistant teacher, basically. I started my journey as an assistant teacher, then teacher, side program supervisor. I was an instructional coach. And also I was adjunct professor at Los Angeles City College and also ILAC. And now I'm working full-time here at ILAC, East Los Angeles College. It's been 5 years. So one thing I really love about this topic today, this is something that I adhere so much. And I feel that dramatic play is a natural adventure for young children. And sometimes we might do not support them as much as we needed. So that's why me and Nancy, we choose this topic. Hopefully, we'll explore some of the ideas and how we can support them. So thank you for joining. So before we move on, I would like to do an icebreaker activity. So I'm going to share. Here, I'm going to share the link with you. Just give me a second. Sorry, I have to copy this link. I forgot to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to share a link in the chat box. You can feel free to log in. You can actually go log in that link. And in that link, we're going to take you to a Jamboard. So you can share basically, how did you play when you're young? What kind of role did you take when you play as a child? What did you play? Who did you play with? What materials you use? So you can maybe share some of your experience. And you can go to the Jamboard, or you can actually share in the chat box. It's up to you. So I will actually, let me bring the Jamboard so you can kind of see how you're going to share. Let me just bring my Jamboard right now and also share so you can log in. Here we go. Here we go. So you can actually log in to the Jamboard using the link that I share. You can use the link that I share in the chat box. Are you able to join? I see, yeah, I saw that some of you actually joined. So I think it's really, you can actually click on the sticky notes right here, and then you can type and you can actually save. So that will help you to put some of the ideas.
And once you click on the ideas, it's going to be build a community. All that your ideas are going to be showing up just here. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I saw that. I wanted to read some of the ideas that you shared. One of you shared, I often time played school by myself. I used paper, pencils, whiteboard, anything I could get my hands on. My students were often light, bright pieces or Barbies. It's wonderful. And I saw that one of you said, I played house when we're young. I played with neighbors and close friends. We used anything we could find to be our home. I know. Absolutely. Those are actually sweet memories. So much sweet memory. I can, definitely remember the way I used to play with my siblings, especially. One of you said, I played with two of my sisters. We would have singing competition. So wonderful, so sweet. I played by myself with my animal figures. I used recycled boxes as houses. Isn't it so creative? Think about like children, they don't need anything as long as they have some empty boxes or pillows or some blocks. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, one of you shared, I dug with branches, popsicle sticks, and shovels in the sand pit and mud looking for fossils. Wonderful, wonderful. I played by myself. Okay, that I read already. I played house, school, store with my sisters, brothers, and neighbors, neighborhood apartment complex. I used to play restaurant with my cousins. We would transform my rooms into a restaurant by using tables and stuffed animals. Thank you for sharing. Those are, I would say, these are, you know, dramatic play is basically is natural instinct for young children. It's actually natural avenue. Every child go through that stage. Some children might need a little bit more time, but every child go to that stage and experience this creative exploration.
Okay, I'm also going to share what they've shared on the chat box. So I
Yes,
have
please.
Alejandra shared she played doctor and chef. Maggie shared she played doctor and patient. Um, Carol said she played alone with her dolls and she was the mommy as well. I used to play grocery stores with my siblings. And what else have they shared? I will make clothes for my dolls. Oops, I lost it. I make clothes for my dolls with extra materials, and I will leave them when she will make clothes. So she had extra materials and you'll make clothes. Perfect. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing.
Wonderful, wonderful. I see. I want to read two more, maybe. One of you said, I would always play teacher and pretend that my toys were my students. That is also how I got my homework done. That's so cool. I used to do the same. Being a teacher it was my favorite things to do. And all the stuffed animals and small plants are my students. Another participants you shared, I played hide and seek with my classmates. We would hide behind trees and take turn being the seeker and finder. Absolutely. And also another one, I used to play with G.I. Joe's outdoors and recreate the battles shown in the TV show. So many of you actually shared, were not able to read all of them. Maybe you were able to read some of the some of the sharing stories here. It's really wonderful to know, how young children get involved in creative play, and it's beyond our imagination how much creativity they have. How much it's amazing. I feel so when I watch children playing. I feel so happy to watch them, the way they are creating everything. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen and then I am going back to my PowerPoint. Thank you so much for sharing. It's wonderful to know. Let me go back to my screen share, my PowerPoint.
And as you're going back to the PowerPoint, I just want to share as well as me growing up, my engagement was also being a teacher. I had my siblings and I had my stuffed animals, available, and it does impact how parents play impacts a role in our lives. And here I am being a teacher, which was that great play and the great accomplishment I made in life.
Absolutely. So again, thank you so much for sharing. So we're going to move on, and Nancy will lead the discussion. Nancy.
Yeah, so again, thank you for joining us this evening, and we're going to go and review the workshop's objectives. So for today's objectives, we're going to be defining dramatic play and the key terms, the importance of it, identifying the development stages of dramatic play. We'll be acknowledge the benefits of dramatic play as well as developing and understanding the perspective of dramatic play. Identifying the link between dramatic play, California Learning Foundations, and the DRDPs. Assess your classroom dramatic play environment, and receive several effective ideas to create and support children's dramatic play within your classroom setting. So here, what is dramatic play? I know we shared what we have engaged, but when the term dramatic play comes to you, what, and feel free to please either unmute and share, or you could add it in the chat box, but right? What is dramatic play? Or when you see this image in front of you, right, which is a dramatic play outcome, right? What is dramatic play? Maria?
Yes, I will say pretend I seen, like maybe pretend to be a doctor, pretend to be a teacher, pretend to be anything, you know, like yeah, to pretend to be anything, like playing a house, teacher in a classroom, doctor in an office.
Yes.
So etc.
Yes, yes. And exactly what you're sharing, Maria, they're also adding that in the chat, right? So dramatic play, right? It's a typical and creative, spontaneous play in which children use their imagination to create a dramatized pretend character, acting, and event. So the dramatic play aspect of it, just like you shared, and I see participants are sharing that as well in our chat box. In social dramatic play, it highlights the level of symbolic play in which young children create their own happening based on their life experiences, right? So just Maria, like you shared, and the participant pretending, engaging in numerous acts of play. And the terms used for dramatic play, there's numerous use. So one is imaginative play, make believe, and I see those were some of the information that was shared in the chat. Pretend play, as well as symbolic play, social dramatic play, and fantasy play. So these are the terms used. What are the two types of dramatic play? So now we know the terms, and we talked about dramatic play. There are two types of dramatic play. Does anybody know which two are dramatic play? Feel free to share and unmute or add it in our chat box.
Nancy, can I add one thing about dramatic play?
Yes.
I just wanted to piggyback with what Nancy said. Dramatic play and socio-dramatic play, a slight difference between these two kinds. Dramatic play could be one child playing by him or herself, pretending someone, right? When it comes to social dramatic play, basically it's include other children. So they engage with more than two children, and also they engage a little bit longer time to play, create a scenario, make some of the role, and also they do follow some rules. So basically it's a little bit more complex, it's more advanced, and also take a little bit more time. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. So there are two types of dramatic play. Structure play. So this structure play is more as a desired outcome, right? A parent or facilitator will have set up an environment with intentionality so the child could come and engage within the play. As you see in this image, right? Feel free to share. What do we see? What do you think is happening in this picture? There's a child lying down. There are other children hospital, right? They're helping. You can see they're facilitating the patient, right? That's lying down. And we have playing doctor. Yeah. So this environment was set up with that intentionality for the children to come and engage. But that's the structured play. And that unstructured play, so children come and they use the materials they have around them and create it their own. For example, if they use a block as a cell phone, right? If they use a couch as a bus, as a ship, right? Which is a unstructured play.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. So I'm going to focus on some of the stages of dramatic play or pretend play. So as you know, that developmental level actually different based on the ages and stages of development, right? Because every development we see does have a progression. Every child have to go through different stages. So same way, dramatic play development also has different stages. These are the 3 stages of development of dramatic play. Stage 1, basically imitative role play. In that stage, this stage actually began as early as 1-year-old. You can see young 1-year-old toddler, they're actually walking and talking like mommy, or maybe trying to put daddy's shoes, or pretend to feeding a baby. So they're basically imitating the actions, imitating the way people talk or dress, or maybe do some sort of action. The people who actually close to them, maybe mom and dad, they imitate mom or dad, or maybe closest caregiver. So as you see in the picture, like you see a child maybe talking on the phone like mommy. So that's basically first stage. And in that stage, child actually do it by his own, okay, his or her own. And the second stage, starting a little bit older kids, is actually make believe play. In that stage, materials or props doesn't matter. They can basically use anything they have around the household and think about creating something else with this. For example, if you think about Vygotsky's, not Vygotsky, Piaget's symbolic play, right? So for example, let's say if they have a piece of block, they can pretend as a cell phone. Or maybe pillow could be the horses or car, right? For example, like we said, stuffed animal could be the students. So that basically make believe play where imagination become more enriched and they become more creative, and also they engaged in so much of representation using one thing to something else. So that basically their make believe stage, and this is stage number 2. And stage number 3, here we come socio-dramatic play. So when they engage with other children, so basically children starting at age 3 to 4, they are actually looking for a partner to play with. So they're looking for peers. So basically you will see that in that stage, children actually engage with 2 or more than children, 2 or more children, and they actually created a scenario. For example, maybe they're having a birthday party, and they also assign some of the role. You are mommy, you are daddy, you are the baby, or I'm the puppy, I'm the doctor. So they basically come up with their whole storyline, and they have different role, and also they have to follow different rules. So that's why this stage, children actually take a little bit more time to be engaged. I wanted to share one of the experience. I used to be a Head Start teacher for many years. So one time, my student, I saw that a group of children, they are playing the same thing every day. I was like wondering what's going on. And I love to watch actually make believe play. So I saw that children actually line up their chairs and having the baby doll, and they are like putting chairs like a classroom row. So I was wondering, because they used to speak Spanish and I don't really understand the whole conversation. So I was very curious. So I actually asked my assistant who used to speak Spanish. So I asked her, like, what's going on? I saw this group of children. It was actually more of the girls, and also I think about 2 boys. So it's like 5, 6 children. So I said, what's going on? They have been playing the same for, last 3, 4 days. And then she actually watching them, and she said, oh, Miss Rokia, they're actually baptizing their baby in the church setting. I was like, oh my God, really? I was like laughing. We're like, oh my goodness, look at them, how creative. They have roles, they have babies, and they are, baptizing. They're actually imitating the whole process. And they actually divided different roles to different children, who's gonna be the mother who's holding the baby, and who's, the priest who's actually helping them to baptizing their babies. I was so amazed to watch them. So that basically third stage, socio-dramatic play, when they're engaging with other children. And I know that definitely those of you who are working and also supervising children, you can actually, by observing them, you can understand what stage they are in. So it's so fascinating to see. And also as an educator, we need to give them the opportunity so they can go to the next level. So that's basically our responsibility. So before we move on to a breakout room, we do have a breakout session, but I would like to kind of piggyback on the research, on the theorists, how theorists actually define and what theorists say about dramatic play. So basically, everybody know Piaget, right? Piaget and also Smolansky, both of them focused on actually cognitive stages of dramatic play, how children improving their cognitive development, their thinking process when engaging in dramatic play. So Piaget basically talked about three kinds: practice play, symbolic or dramatic play, and games and rules. And Smolansky, actually, Smolansky, she actually talked about four kind of socio-dramatic play. She actually defined socio-dramatic play. That's basically her term that she used. So she said functional play, constructive play, dramatic play, and games and rules. So summarizing both idea, we can say there are three cognitive play stages in dramatic play. Number one, practice or functional play. Basically, that started during infancy to 2 years old. So in this stage, actually children explore using their senses. So they explore different objects using their five senses, their motor practices. So they actually practice their motor skills by exploring, holding or throwing or grabbing, putting them together, different materials. So that's how they explore. That's basically called practice and functional play. And number two, symbolic play that we are actually discussing right now. So Smolansky actually defined as a constructive play, and symbolic play actually defined by Piaget, and also Smolansky mentioned about dramatic and socio-dramatic play. So in that stage, basically they actually dramatize different actions and incidents and event. And also they make up their own scenario. They actually come up with their own storyline and own character and own responsibilities. So these are basically symbolic play. And the last one is games and rules. Basically a little bit older children, school-age children, 7 to 11 years of age. So what happened in that age, they come up with their own game. It could be board game, it could be dramatic play, more complex and extended play. So they come up with their own games and own rules and also own expectations. So these are some of the cognitive stages of dramatic play according to Piaget and Smolansky. Besides them, interestingly, Vygotsky, and we know that Vygotsky actually emphasized on interaction, right? So social interaction with environment is so important according to Vygotsky's theory. So Vygotsky and Elkonen, they actually came up with stages of make-believe play. So stage number one is level number one, basically object center. So children actually, they just engage using toys and using play. Maybe, for example, as you see, maybe watching baby dolls, but they don't really come up with the name. So they don't really have the name of the role. They just engaged in, that's very young children. And then level two, roles are named once they play begins. So that means as soon as they engage, they can come up, okay, I'm the baby, or I'm the mommy, or I'm a doctor. So that comes after they engaged in dramatic play. And level three, basically they name their role before they play begin. For example, they can say, we're going to have a birthday party and I'm the birthday girl. Or they might say, we're going to doctor's office and I'm the doctor, your mommy and your baby is sick. So they actually come up with the name before they begin their dramatic play situation or scenario. And level number 4 is more well-defined and more complex. And older children actually in that level, what happened, roles are well-defined and fully developed or mature play. That means they come up with a whole storyline. That today, we're going to play Power Ranger and you are the pink one, or today we're having a, special birthday party. This is what's going to happen and you are going to do this. So they will be actually defining and come up with the whole event and distribute different role and come up with different rules and stuff. So that's basically level number 4. It's more well-defined characters and also scenario and everything, the storyline and more mature play. Anybody has any questions so far? Let us know if you have any question. You can actually, raise your hands, virtual hands, or you can put in the chat box. Okay. And let us know if we're going too fast or too slow. Okay, so we're going to share a video. So Nancy, would you like to cover that part?
So we're going to cover the importance of pretend play. So after we watch this video, we're going to go out in a breakout rooms and we're going to share. So as you're observing the video, what are the benefits of dramatic play and what could be a teacher's role in supporting the dramatic play? So be sure we capture these observations within this short video clip. Let's put the audio. All right, it doesn't have the audio. Can you? Thank you for your patience. It doesn't have the audio.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. That's my bad.
Pretend play is one of the forms of play that children demonstrate. And the hallmarks of pretend play generally are that children are engaged in make-believe activity. And the make-believe activity can be fairly simple, as pretending to drink tea from a pretend.
What happened? Sorry.
Toy cup, or more complex to taking on a role, say baby, in a pretend family situation where there's also a mama and a dada playing, and maybe even a grandpa and grandma playing along in a family situation. It's interesting because it's thought that starting about the 1950s, where we see more and more toys being marketed to children, that in fact that sometimes those toys can limit children's play, because if you take an object like a toy, it can often dictate how the child plays with it. But if the child is given more simple open-ended objects, then the child has to use their imagination to decide how to use that object. Current researchers are talking about the fact that parents or teachers don't need to buy expensive toys for children, that the best types of objects to supply to children to encourage their pretend play are open-ended objects like blocks, crayons, paper, clay, all those open-ended materials that are kind of the foundation of good early childhood classrooms. That you don't want a lot of commercial products because, like I said, it tends to limit children's play, whereas an open-ended product like a block, a good set of blocks, children can play with that in a different way every day of their life.
Whoa, it looks like he got like, wait, let me change. I'm going to throw in the water. Whoa, let's throw this with the water. Whoa. So we can take this.
Pretend play is voluntary and it's chosen by the player and the player drives it. So if the adult, if the teacher or parent imposes it on children, it's not nearly as effective. And in fact, a big worry we have in today's world, because so much of children's time is scheduled and so many of their play objects draw for one type of play and they're so supervised all the time that it's thought that children aren't getting the chance to use their imagination and engage in pretend play at the levels that are really needed for good development. It's very important that the adult facilitates play, but does not dominate the play. And so that's a fine divide that teachers and parents really need to learn how to negotiate. You want to support the play, encourage the play, and if children kind of get stuck, you want to help them get unstuck and take the next step, but you don't want to direct it. A good early childhood classroom would incorporate a variety of interest centers for children to explore. For instance, any early childhood classroom is usually organized into a number of centers. There's almost always a block center, almost always a small manipulative center where there are Legos and other small blocks for children to use. There's almost always a reading center, a group gathering center, a literacy area, maybe a science center, and maybe a sand and water table. And so those areas are purposefully there to encourage different types of exploration or opportunities for the children to learn. From a parent's point of view, I think when you visit an early childhood classroom, you should ask the teacher how much time the children have to play each day and how those play activities are supervised and organized. Because you would want to look for an environment where the children do have free play opportunities and that the environment is rich to support that in terms of having open-ended activities for them to choose from. Where kind of the rubber often hits the road is when we talk about academic and pre-academic skills and the role of play in facilitating good academic achievement. There's a number of research studies in literacy, language development, math and science, and reading that shows that children who went to preschools where there were large segments of time devoted to rich pretend play, that those children achieved quite well in those areas. And in fact, there's a growing body of research that shows that pretend play is correlated with something called effortful control, which is impulse control, and that is actually more predictive of school success than IQ.
I got more than you. I'm 50-50. Oh, there's another one.
Go ahead, Nancy, explain the breakout room so I can.
So now, just wonderful video. So now that let's share what we know. So what's going to happen now, we're going to go into breakout room and we're going to be able to discuss what are the benefits of dramatic play and what could be the teacher's role in supporting dramatic play. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go to breakout rooms. I'm going to add the questions in the chat. I'm going to add the 2 questions in the chat. So when we're in our breakout room, we will be able to discuss.
Yeah, so we're going to have about 7-8 minutes. Just give me a second. And I'm going to okay, I think we put ourselves also. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to open that. going to, yeah, so I'm going to open the room. You will be automatically joined the room, all of you. Okay. So,
Hi.
hi. I didn't put it in a group. let me.
I was.
Hi.
Hi. Good. How are you? I was going to room 4 and then it popped me back to the main room.
Oh, okay. Group 4. Okay, room 4. I'll put it back to you. Okay, it will go there. Nice to see you. Hey, Nancy, I bring you back.
No, yes, I was part of it. I was just, they were talking about the importance of, they're answering the questions and I came back.
Okay. Yeah. I by mistake, I put you in a group. Okay, so here, so let's make a plan right now. So,
Do we stop recording or
so right now
do we
is
stop recording and then continue?
no, the breakout room. Oh yeah, let me stop recording. Yes. Stop recording. I